Alright, we're back with some more Triple Triad. No face this time because my computer is having problems using its webcam. So, apologies to you, you don't get to see my lovely face, but we do get to talk about more Triple Triad, and specifically we're now talking about closed. So open is a format where you of course get to see all your own cards, but you also get to see your opponent's cards. In closed, you do not. Their cards are hidden from you. So instead of having this complete information game that has often been analogized to something more like chess, we have something that's compared more to something like poker, an incomplete information game where you're given some information and you have to make reads based on it. So I want to make a few initial points just about how closed might work differently. One is, you can make reads. You can get a sense, aha, they've played a card with a 7 up, a 7 left, and a 7 right. It seems likely, assuming this was a game where you built your hand, that they have a 7 facing down as well. And so you can start making predictions about what kind of cards they're likely to have left. If they've played a card that's a clear corner for 1, meaning a high outfacing right and down value, a strong corner for 3, and a strong corner for 9, probably their hand has a strong corner for 7 too. Not always, but you can make these kinds of reads and get a sense of what cards they might have. So that's one thing to look out for. Another thing is, in open, you're going to calculate very specific lines, right? You're going to say, if I go here, they have this card that can go there, and then I have this card that can go here. Well, in closed, we still want to calculate, and that's really important. We don't want to just go on general principle, but it is going to be a game more about general principles and less about the specifics, I think quite often, which is to say, you're making the move that's best against the whole range of cards they might have and the whole range of plays they might make. And so, where in open it might be, I'd prefer to go in this square, but with the specific cards it doesn't work, thus I'll go in this other square. Here, you're more often going to end up going in that square that makes the most logical sense. Now maybe you don't have the cards to go there, but in open you check, do I have the cards to go there, and can it handle their responses? And this is much more a question of just, do I have the cards to go there? And so you're going to more often make principled moves, which to me is really cool. And it was really helpful for me getting better was to play a lot of closed because I became a very principled player before I made the transition into open. And I think that was really useful to me. So my first example here, this says we'll assume no rules for now, but I think this is an interesting position to discuss both with rules and without. So by rules, I mean same, plus, and plus wall. So looking at this position, you can try to solve for both, but I'm first going to say let's pause and think about what would you do if this was a no rules game. You're blue to move, you're trailing 6-4. We don't know their cards, but we do know this is a level 4 and 5 game, so the max number available is a 7. They might have a card with 2 7s. We can see this 2-7-7-3 and this 7-2-7-4. They might have a card with 7 and a bunch of 6s. They might have a card with 7 and a lone 6, right? But this looking at the board should give a sense of the kinds of cards they might have. And we want to make the move that is kind of the most principled, generally strong move. But we also want to calculate a move further. We want to say, if we make this move, what is the range of moves they could make, and what would our last move end up being in those situations? So pause and figure out what you'd play, no rules, then we'll do it with rules after. Okay, so for no rules, I think the move that a lot of people are going to jump out with, and this is a good idea, it is not best, but it is a good idea, is to play 7-2-7-4 in 3. This is very logical. First, we should note every single move available, because we have 7s down and there are no 7s up, secures a card. So there's no real difference in which move immediately secures the most cards. So the things we might look for are, what leaves me with the strongest card left at the end that has the most capturing power, because taking at the end is a really valuable, strong thing. Because any card you take on the last move is secured. So it's really nice to have a powerful last card. And thus, clearly with the 6s to the side, we're incentivized to hold on to Marlborough. And then the next question is, what can I do taking with the highest outfacing value? 4 is of course higher than 2, so playing 7-2-7-4 and 3 makes a lot of sense. And it's often going to be a winning move. It makes the score 5-5. If they go in 1 in response, we go in 2, and of course our 7 down will take the 6 up from 5, and we'll win at least 6-4. So the only way they have a chance is if they go in 2. If they can't take our ruby dragon in 3, we win because we're going to take something on our final turn and win 6-4. So let's assume they can take the ruby dragon in 3. So they will lead 6-4 again. Our final card will be Malboro in 1. It will take the card below it to make it 5-5, and if they have a 5 or less to the left, our 6 will take that as well. So this move wins unless they have a card with at least a 5 to the right to capture this 4, and at least a 6 to the left to not be capturable by Malboro. So you might think, that kind of card's pretty common. But we can actually do a quick look at the board and see how many cards fit that. You know, we need a 5 to the right and a 6 to the left or higher. So Ahriman, this card, does fit. Jan fits. Does not fit. Does not fit. Does not fit. Fits. Does not fit. Fits. About half the cards we can see fit this principle. And I think clearly we're looking at a hand and a board with more horizontally strong cards than normal. You know, this card's best horizontally, best horizontally, best horizontally, really good horizontally. So we probably win this game more than the 50% that would lead us to believe. I would think Ruby Dragon wins the game, 60, 70% of the time. But it is not, and draws the rest. There's no way we lose after that move. But there's a better move. We can win this 100% of the time. But you do have to calculate, and even in closed, we should be calculating, we should be thinking. 7-2, 7-4, and 2 is the best move, because it makes it 5-5. We can recapture it from either 3 or 1 with our sideways 6s, so when they capture it either way, they go up 6-4, but our final move is a guaranteed double capture if they flipped Ruby Dragon. If they didn't, we only need a single capture to win. So we go in 2, making it 5-5, they capture from either side, making it 6-4, and Malboro takes back Ruby Dragon and takes the card below it in either square, and we win 6-4. So this is to show closed still has these kinds of calculations. And so a move like Ruby Dragon in 3 is a good move. Like, if you've picked that move, that's a much better move than I think the other alternatives. I suspect some people will have picked 2-6, 7-6 in 1. The idea is it takes a card, it has the highest out facing, and our 4 facing to the left is best there, but it's actually better to use the 4 out facing first and have the 6 left for capturing. But if you pick that move, that makes some sense as well. But we really do usually want to hold on to our strongest card as long as we can. And here we have that option, because we have multiple moves that secure something with Ruby Dragon, and so we want to use our weaker card first. And we'll get into more of details on that. But I think the really key thing here is we're making the move that is the most principled. We don't know it will win, except 7-2, 7-4, and 2 does, but we often won't know it will win, but we want to give ourselves the best chances against the range of stuff they might have. And so we're playing very principledly, but we still want to calculate, and you have to calculate to spot 7-2, 7-4, and 2 as the win. And this is a common kind of finish, so it's an important move to note, where you can play that move in 2 that you can recapture on both sides. So I think that is a nice example, and then I talk far too long about it. So let's take another position. Now, we're red, it's 5-5, it's our move. We want to think, what is our best chance? So here, we really, our 1-1-1-6 is just terrible. It's just going to have such low outfacing numbers. So we want to play our 6-2, 6-2. But do we want to play it in 3 or 6? Well, in 3, the score stays 5-5, and they would need a 7 up to beat us. Now, this is clearly a level 3 game, meaning there are a lot fewer 7s available. We only see 2 cards with a 7 on them, and there are some lower levels as well. So their odds of having a 7 facing up are pretty low, even if we have no information from the game as it's been played, and we likely do, and that might give us even more information that they're unlikely to have a 7 facing up. So 6-2, 6-2, and 3, I would expect ties 90% plus of the time. Is just very, very likely to tie and occasionally loses. 6-2, 6-2, and 6 captures the card in 9, so we go up 6-4. In that case, for them to tie, they need at least a 5 to the left or a 7 down. And for them to win, they need both, and if they have neither, we win. So we have real winning chances here, and they're still going to need a 7 in their hand. So we definitely want to capture the card here, because to lose, they're going to need both that 7 and a 5 in another direction. This is very unlikely. I would estimate our chances of losing as just, the number of level 3 cards with a 7 one way and a 5 the other, and then it has to be the exact right permutation, very, very low. So this move virtually never loses, will frequently tie, and will occasionally win, and should be the preferred move. Now, I'm going to go back to the first one because I think we should be practicing same plus and plus wall. And I'd like to note, the winning move last time, 7-2, 7-4, and 2, whether or not same plus or plus wall are on, it's still going to win, because we only need overpowering for the idea we talked about to work. But 7-2, 7-4, and 3, that next best move, now it actually wins. And I want you to pause a second, think why, and what you have to do is you have to calculate the next moves and specific numbers. You have to think, if they play in 2, which numbers could we not take already with our 6, and how might we be able to take them now with same plus and plus wall included. So pause your video and calculate for a moment. Alright, the reason this move now wins is because we play it in 3. If they go in 1, of course we already capture 5, so we win easily. So they must go in 2, capturing our card in 3. And the 2 numbers we couldn't already beat, if they had a 5 or less to the left, we were already double capturing to win 6-4 on the final move. So the 2 numbers we couldn't take are a 6 and a 7. So my question is, why do we now capture that 6 and that 7? So let's start with the 6. To capture that 6, we need a same plus or plus wall to activate. Now there's clearly no same. We have a 6 facing a 6, but a 7 facing a 6 down. Not a same. Also clearly not a plus, because 6 plus 6 does not equal 6 plus 7. So the only option left is a plus wall. 6 plus 6 equals 2 plus 10. So our 2 facing the wall powers up our 6, and means we can capture any leftward 6, double capture at the end, and win 6-4. What about if they have a 7 to the left? Well now, the plus wall's not going to work. 10 plus 2 does not equal 6 plus 7. But the plus is, because we're going to have a 6 to the right facing their 7, and a 7 down facing their 6. 6 plus 7 equals 7 plus 6, 13 equals 13. We will plus, which means we will capture both cards and win 6-4. So the move that in the last case was not a win with no rules becomes a win with rules in play. And this is a common feature of having rules in play. More captures are available, less safety is available. And specifically that the weaker numbers suddenly start mattering more because they help cause plus walls. So suddenly 7-2, 7-4, and 3 is a forced win with rules in play, but is not a forced win without rules in play, while 7-2, 7-4, and 2 is a forced win either way. Okay, do I have any more good examples here? I don't love these. Okay, these are examples we'd seen before, not in closed, but those are some initial thoughts on closed endgames and just how calculation still exists. That's really important. Some people stop calculating once we reach closed. Securing cards is still really important, and my next post is going to be my big guide to playing closed same plus plus wall, as well as giving guidelines and rules to it. And so the next post, I'm going to go through a set of principles to follow and positions to solve. And then we will jump into looking at some games my friend played against an AI I made. Not a very good AI. He does beat it. And talk about his moves with a list of the rules on the side and look at how, really what he made some good moves, he made some bad moves, but what we would do following the principles I lay out. And yeah, so that'll be more detail into closed. I think closed is a really fascinating game. Tournaments were almost always held using open, but I think closed remains a great game. It was much more popular to play outside of tournaments and really shows a lot of the core ideas of what you want to be doing and distills them into you want to be reliably making that most principled move. Where open, sometimes you'll make it, sometimes you won't. They're going to be very discrete situations. In closed, if you have that really good principled basis, you're going to be a very strong player.